to another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. That's right. We never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. And you know they want to, right? So how's it going, Salt Shaker and Jody? I'm glad I got the ladies on here today. So this show is going to be totally different than the normal shows that I do. So as a lot of you guys probably know, I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And I give a lot of that success to my experience in the Marine Corps, as short as it was. Having a Marine Corps father who drilled into me discipline and spirit and the value of hard work, being a blue collar guy, teaching me how to dig trenches, how to dig ditches, how to do rough framing and plumbing and electrical, how to be a contractor. Hi, Lynn. Good seeing you, ma'am. It led me on a road to becoming they say self-made man, but self-made man can mean many things to many people, but to me, self-made man simply means marching to the beat of your own drummer. And I didn't want to be someone's employee for the rest of my life. I always wanted to be my own man and run my own business like my dad did, because that was my example. And so, hey, Steve, good seeing you, my man, and Brace Gas. Super happy to see all you guys. Hopefully you like my cool view that I have set up here in the background. I'll try to do a morning workout tomorrow for you so we can do a little lap routine. But anyways, I'm blown away. The reason I'm doing this show is I'm blown away at how things come back full circle in your life. And I wanted to share with you an experience that I had today. And so I have limited experience with stocks and stuff like that, but I instinctively know you should own gold and silver, and that fiat currency is worthless, and that only the banksters make money from that. And so I became a distant fan of Robert Kiyosaki, right? But I never knew about Robert's background. I just heard that he was this cool guy who wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's going to blow your mind, like when I share this story with you guys. They sure are, Race Gas. And I'm glad you guys are here with me today to share this with me. So I'm watching this video that I saw with Robert Kiyosaki and this other dude who I've seen all over the internet. And he looks so familiar to me. And I never could quite place it. But when you've met someone and you just can't quite place it, but you know that person? Give me a bunch of ones if you know what I'm talking about. Like you've met someone, but you can't quite place it, but you've met him somewhere. Like you've seen it in movies where like the biker recognizes the undercover cop, right? Or the undercover FBI guy or whatever. He's like, I know I've seen you somewhere. He's like, oh, I know what you're talking about, homie, and whatever. But yeah, exactly, Lynn. Yeah. Right, Salt Shaker. So I'm watching this video, and it's a Robert Kiyosaki video. And look, honestly, guys, I may get copyrighted on this, but I've got to share this video with you. I'm hoping that if Robert watches it, he's not going to mess with me, because it's super, super important to everyone. So just to give you a little bit of background, people who don't know me, I'm a personal injury attorney. I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And I attribute most of my success to the training I had, mainly from my father, because he was a Marine, but then also because of the Marine Corps boot camp. It really drilled everything that my dad taught me into me even better and harder, and taught me the spirit of teamwork, because I was an only child. So I never really understood what teamwork was. Yeah, I worked with contractors. I knew rough frame, and that was a lot of teamwork. I knew pouring forms. That was a lot of teamwork, but nothing like Marine Corps boot camp teamwork. And so I'm watching this Robert Kiyosaki video today. Do you guys know who Robert Kiyosaki is? Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Does anybody know who that is? Yeah, Lynn, exactly, yeah. What's up, Copster 5150? So Copster 5150, the show is going to be a little bit different. We may not get a huge audience today because it's about making money. It's about success. It's about the things that you need to do to be able to survive in this brave, cruel world that you're in right now. So, yeah. All right. So, Robert Kiyosaki. So, he wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I never actually read the entire book. One of my good friends, Aaron out in Hawaii, who was an 11B in the Army, told me about his book years ago. And he was one of the first guys that I met. You know, we used to work together. He helped me build my website. He taught me how to get PR6 backlinks so I could be number one on Google. Hopefully you guys know what that is, but could be before your time if you're young. But there used to be a way to get number one on Google by getting page rank 6, page rank 7 backlinks from other websites. And so that's how I became successful as a lawyer and became number one for all the major search terms on Google, which is why I'm able to afford to be here with you today. But I digress. He told me about Robert Kiyosaki years ago about this book that he read, and it changed his life. And he said, just, read this guy's book. So I read part of it, and I didn't like read the whole thing because I was so busy making money, right? I never thought I really needed it because he was a stock guy. My dad always told me, well, investing in stock, that's gambling. That's evil, because my dad was a hardcore evangelical Christian. Prior to that, he was raised a very strict Lutheran. So he beat those values into me, literally. Like, hey, son, you want to go to church today? I was like, Dad, I'd really rather not. And all of a sudden, you're getting dragged around the house by your hair. You will go to church. Do you understand? Your soul will be saved. Do you understand? Hopefully, you guys get that. So let's make money together, right? Let's go 5150. So, anyways, I'm watching this video. Well, actually, I'm not watching the video. And by the way, guys, I'm working still, so I wasn't even going to go live tonight. But I thought, you know what? What the hell? You know, even if I get 10 people on here, I may be able to change their lives. So it might have been worth it. So I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and I glance over and I look at his lapel, and I see these wings, and I'm like, I know those wings. This dude's a freaking civilian. What the hell is he doing wearing wings like that on his lapel? That's why I always wear my EGA when I wear my suit. Same reason, which we'll talk about in a minute. EGA, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, pin. And so, anyways, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Huh. So I Google Robert Kiyosaki, USMC. Boom, sure enough, Robert Kiyosaki was a combat helicopter pilot, Marine Corps in Vietnam. And then everything started making sense, and I got these shivers up my spine. So then I really started listening, and I'm sitting here working on letters, doing briefs, but I'm listening to this guy, and the guy sounds just like my dad, but with less brain damage, because, my dad was messed up from the war. And I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, oh my God, everything my dad said, like everything. And then I remember my dad forced me to listen to Norman Vincent Peale on cassette, and Zig Ziglar and all these different tapes, motivational speaking. My dad helped me get into sales. I became number one in sales at LA Fitness. Just let me share the story with you so you understand. You don't think I'm rambling. And ultimately, I owned a couple of health clubs. I managed several health clubs, went in partnership on a bunch of health clubs. And I became the corporate wellness director for Bally's Total Fitness, because I want you guys to see how crazy life is, for me especially. And that's right, Race Gas. He bought gold while he was in combat. Yeah, dude, wait until you hear this story. This is going to blow your freaking mind, man. So I'm like going, wow, this is interesting. And he's doing a video with this other dude. And I've seen this guy all over the internet. He looks like he was probably Iranian or something, but super positive, kind of reminds me of me. Well, honestly, super motivated, always upbeat, always positive. Like, even if he's bummed out, he doesn't want to let you know. You know what I mean? One of those kind of guys. Like, he wants to inspire others. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like, okay, now I know Robert's a Marine. So he's automatically got my attention, because as most people don't know, it's mainly enlisted Marines, but per capita, enlisted former U.S. Marines are the most successful businessmen per capita of any other military branch. Enlisted Marines are the true entrepreneurs. And it's because of the self-starter mentality that they teach you. For reals, guys. I mean, Walt Disney was a Marine. There's so many examples I could give you. But it's true. Per capita, Marines are the most successful. in small business of anyone in the United States, bar none. And so I'm listening to this guy and I'm watching this guy. I'm looking over because it's like there's this instinctive thing, like, why is Robert talking to this guy? The guy mentioned that he was in the army. This dude, he's always wearing, like, full breasted, the full 9 yards, always looking more squared away than me. And then he mentions, I was a salesman at Bally's Total Fitness, and my whole freaking brain almost exploded, like still even right now. Like, I can't even believe it, guys. Just completely blows my mind. Remember when I told you earlier, you thought you met someone? So I was the corporate wellness director for Bally's Total Fitness. And I couldn't believe it, man. I know this guy. I know this guy. And he's guy's made over $100 million. And he's talking about his base was sales, his background in sales, and that he was in the army. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Hey, Lynn. Marine sucks, says Ghost Man. It's uppercase M there. Yo, hurry up and change that to an uppercase M. So anyways, I don't want to bore you guys too much, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit of humor before we get into this video, because I'm going to share with you that this guy that worked at Bally's Total Fitness, this is somebody that I actually worked with. And I remember this guy. And I always remember he was really kind and he was really courteous. And now the guy makes like over $100 million, or is worth over $100 million. Not that I'm saying you need to be impressed by that, but what I am saying is, guys, you don't have to be, you don't want to be a product of the Marxist run college system. You don't want to go to a university. If you want to be successful, you need to get your ass out there on the grinder and learn sales. I'm telling you right now, that's the key to this whole deal. And I'm here to help you learn sales. And I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And anyways, yeah, thanks, Lynn. You're pleasantly plump when you go running down the street. Do you leave potholes? Anyways, so I'm going to just really quick have a little bit of fun with you, and then I'm going to share this Robert Kiyosaki video. And then as I work and try to get work done over here at my firm, I'm going to cut in every couple of minutes and share some things with you. So let me, no respect. That's right, Lynn. Yeah, because I was Rodney Dangerfield's limo driver too. Anyways, so let's just have a little bit of fun with Tom Vu. So my first example is Tom Vu. So Tom Vu, come to my seminar. You want me a lot, Gil? So Tom Vu was one of these guys. He's from Vietnam. When I was growing up in the 80s, before we had the internet, like On and Select TV were the big thing. But for guys like me who watched Wally George after hours, because that was my guy, like I actually went and saw Wally George and wore the Ray-Bans in the audience, Wally, Wally. And Tom Vu was one of the guys that sponsored his show, I believe. And we always watched his commercials, and my dad loved Tom Vu. And so, hey, James, good seeing you, man. It says your overhead mic is turned off, it says. Is that me? You guys can't hear me? Can you not hear me? Give me some 5x5s. I'm gonna check my freaking doggone. Oh, it says I'm. Hold on a minute. Is that better? Is that better, guys? Hopefully you guys can hear me better now. How did you know my freaking doggone overhead mic was turned off? Holy crap, man. Who told me that? That was Copser 5150. Thank you, brother. All right. Okay, it should be good now. Thanks, Cops. That was awesome. Thank you, bro. And that's what I'm talking about, because teamwork is the dream work. So anyways, guys, this is going to be super funny because Tom Vu was like one of the guys that I really thought was great and hilarious. And I don't even know if it was really him. A lot of people say that he paid these. Hey, Kevin Biranyarski, good seeing you, man. They said that Tom Vu, thanks, Ghost Man. Hopefully I'm loud enough. They said that Tom Vu would basically like pay these girls and rent these cars, and he would sell seminars. And the guy became rich from it. And he was just this cool little Vietnamese dude. And it's before I even knew what pho soup was. You know what I mean? And now pho soup, we call it pho, is like my favorite soup. But let's get into it really quick. I'm going to show you a little bit of Tom Vu, and then we'll get into this video, Rich Dad, Poor Dad video. Let's go.
I hope you enjoy seeing my waterfall as much as I do. I built this water fountain right in front of my estate, so I feel good about it. I feel successful every time I come home. Speaking of waterfall, that reminds me of a secret that made me to become very wealthy. I know a lot of you thinking that, well, I'm famous for teaching people how to make millions in real estate. They forget I have another secret, this unique secret that most people don't know about. Let me tell you how I learned the secret. Years ago, when I was a busboy at the country club I used to work at, one night I got all the guts in this world. I walked over to this nice old man, I gave him some water, and I said, "Sir, I'm giving you some water. Would you please tell me how to be rich like you, sir?" And lucky for me, the old man said, "Well, boy, stay after work, I show you how." I condensed that old man's secret into just 3 little words. 3 beautiful words that brought Tom Vu from poverty to be multimillionaire. 3 little words that made me overcome all the obstacles in my life. You know, in the last 10 years, on my way to make these millions wasn't easy. At first, I got lots of discouragement from friends and strangers who are losers. You know what these people kept telling me? They kept saying, "Well, Tom Vu, you're a crazy nut. Here you are, a poor immigrant, poor minority, speak no English, no contact, on and on. And you're trying to be rich in America. You're crazy, man. Look at people out there. They're smarter than you are. They're not even rich. Who are you to try?" And you know what? I have to keep telling these people every time. I kept saying, "You're a loser. Get out of my way. I make it somehow." You know, that's what I think you should say to anyone who's trying to hold you back in life. Take a look at them from head to toe. Of course, they are nothing. Stay away from them. Learn from success, not failure. You know, this 3 little word now that every time I wake up in the morning, I already made my millions. I treasure that old man's secret in my heart forever. If you want to become wealthy, come to my seminar. Let me share with you the 3 little words that can change anyone's life. I know some of you may say, "Well, why, Tom, don't go ahead and tell me this 3 little word right now to get it over with?" Well, nothing worth millions like this come easy in life, my friend. You got to make an effort. You got to get on your car, take the time out, come to the seminar, learn the 3 little words that can make anyone change their life. And who knows, you may decide to join my training and become wealthy also.
All right, so that Tom Vu. You want me like Gil? You come to my seminar. We're not done. We got some more. I love this guy.
Look at this picture here. 10 children and a mom and a dad live in a little tent like this. Crowded, destitute. We couldn't even speak English at the time. And after we got out of this refugee camp, we got to do many odd jobs to support the family, like washing dishes, busboy, mowing lawn, and so forth. Thank God that I found a unique system to make millions in real estate, starting from nothing. As a result, we became financially independent. And several years ago, I decided to share this wealth building knowledge with other people across the country. Many people took my seminar, become very wealthy. Many of my students are about to get on TV to tell you how my system had changed their life. If you want to become financially independent, come to my seminar. Let me show you how to make the fortune you have always dreamed about.
Andrew Carnegie says 90% of America's millionaires made it in real estate. If you have a desire to make your fortune in real estate, the Tom Vu Real Estate Seminar is for you.
You do have 2 choices right now, my friend. Number 1 is do nothing. Stay home. Do what most people do. And 5 years later, you'll be lucky if you have a job.
That's true.
Or number 2, you can come to my seminar. Learn the secret of how other people are making millions. So someday, you can become financially independent yourself.
This is the Vu family when they first arrived in the United States, destitute, with nothing. Tom Vu and his 10 brothers and sisters had to live in a tent. Now the Vu family has become financially independent thanks to the Tom Vu money-making system. Mr. Vu says to make a fortune in America, you must learn from successful people, apply proven techniques, and then become financially free.
I'm excited. Are you ready? Come to my seminar. Let me show you the secret to be rich. You have the same chance to have what I have. Don't sell yourself short. When you tell people that they can find a job making $25,000 a year, they believe it. But when you tell them that there's an opportunity for them to make millions in real estate, they're being skeptical. You know what? There's 2 kinds of people in life, the small thinker and the big thinker.
That's right.
Which one are you?
My friends, I know lots of you out there are skeptical. In my hand, framed
Right, Jay
is a
Sharp.
check for $203,029.32. I net in one transaction, one deal. This is a net check. Lots of people keep telling their families that when I get rich, I shall take care of you. But there are two kinds of people in the world, doers and talkers.
That's right.
Which one are you?
Which one are you?
Have you ever dreamed that someday you will make a lot of money to help your loved ones? Here is your chance. Don't miss the boat. Most people don't have self-esteem. They don't believe that they can make a lot of money. My friend, you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
That's true.
You only live once. Don't let your dreams slip away.
Hi, my name is Art Stanowski. I attended TAMWU seminar, and on my first transaction, I made $25,190.
There's nobody holding you back from making millions.
It's so easy to make money in real estate, and I'm planning to be a millionaire by age 25.
I have a small goal that in the future, I will be remembered as a man who has taught more millionaires in this world than any man who ever lived. This goal makes me excited.
Just like you, I was tired from living from paycheck to paycheck.
There's no one stop you from going to my seminar.
TAMWU showed me the way to financial freedom. Think about that for a second. If you have any guts at all to attend this free 90-minute seminar, how in the world do you expect to make any money?
Okay, you see my students come from all walk of life, get on TV and tell you how simple it is to make a lot of money with my system. Oh, it doesn't matter where you are, what your occupation is. I don't care if you are a housewife, school teacher, engineer. You've seen them get on TV tell you that they make money. Think about this. Can you make a lot of money with your current occupation to afford yourself a luxury lifestyle like mine? Well, mine can. My system can show you how to do that. And I know some of you still thinking, well, maybe there's a catch somewhere. Well, I used to think that there's no catch. But until one of my very successful students and very old wise student come and tell me one day, he said, well, Tom, if anybody ever asks you what is a catch with your system, tell them there's an old American saying. It's called get off your butt and do it. You ready to become wealthy? Come to my seminar. Make that first step. Let me show you how.
Man, I
look at this picture.
Tom Vu was the best, man. So 1 second. Let me let me find the next one. All right. Hold on, guys. Just give me a second. Give me a freaking
from a guy that.
All right. So like I was saying, so you see this guy right here on the screen. Okay. So I was telling you about my background in sales and marketing and being Rodney Dangerfield's limo driver and all that. Well, before I had my limousine company, I was a salesman, and I helped start the LA Fitness Health Club chain in Anaheim Hills. And I even worked for the Whiting family before that. They owned Orange County Athletic Club, Huntington Beach Athletic Club. And then I worked for Ray and Packy Wilson of Family Fitness. So I learned sales training from those guys. And Packy would get on a life cycle, and he put an egg timer on my desk, and he'd throw me the cross-reference guide, and I'd have to make 20 phone calls out of the cross-reference guide to offer a free guest pass or whatever, a free membership. Hey, congratulations, you won a free membership. Come on down, So, they get a free 30-day membership, and you try to sell them on a 1 year. And so that's how I learned sales, high pressure. And I sold cars too. And ultimately, after I had a couple of health clubs and bought and sold a few and kind of got out of that, I became the corporate wellness director for Bally's Total Fitness. I don't know if you guys remember what Bally's Total Fitness is. I will definitely call you, James. You could come to my seminar. You can meet a lot of Gil. But anyways, this dude right here on the screen, guys, I've been watching this dude's videos. His name is Patrick Bet David. You guys have probably seen him. He's like the super successful dude. He does YouTube videos and Twitter stuff. And it's like, remember when I told you when we first started, I know that guy. I've seen that guy somewhere before. Dude, He was one of the top salesmen, I believe, at Bally's Total Fitness. I remember meeting him. He always had pretty decent biceps. He would always, he's wearing the Bally's Total Fitness shirt. And the Bally's Total Fitness is where I got beat up by that cop, that West Covina cop in the West Covina Bally's when I was preparing for a mall show. And so he was talking about how, he used to go to mall shows and his boss would send him to mall shows so he'd get his start in sales. And I was like, wait a minute. And then he mentioned Bally's. And I was like, dude, my head almost exploded. Like I still have my hair standing up on the back of all over me. Like my hair's literally standing because this guy's made hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And who is he with in this video? With Robert Kiyosaki. And this all happened today. And the reason why I'm blown away about Robert Kiyosaki is because I saw the Marine aviator wings on his lapel. I never knew that Robert Kiyosaki was a Marine. And this guy here that you're looking at, this guy, he was Army. And I started thinking about it. It's that training, that do or die, self-reliance, discipline equals freedom, right? That they teach you in the military, especially the Marine Corps, that made me the success that I am today. And I'm watching this guy, I'm completely blown away. And so I wanted to share with you guys this because it was important to me. And I thought that I would introduce you to Robert Kiyosaki. Like for example, today I made about 30 grand in a short-term investment on UVix, right? Like in profit through an IRA, though. Unfortunately, I can't touch it. And I know that Robert Kiyosaki hates that stuff. But hopefully my wife and kids will enjoy that profit that I made them today. But it's because of Kiyosaki's videos. And I never knew he was Marine. And I always knew this dude was cool. But now I know that I actually worked with this guy at Bally's Total Fitness. And that the intersection from him doing his thing and me becoming a lawyer, how that worked out. Like, he was in sales at Bally's. I was a corporate wellness director at Bally's. And I go off and get beat up by a cop at Bally's. And then that motivates me to become a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And then he goes and does his thing on social media, and he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars now. And he's got like all the social media stuff all over the place. So anyways, I sent him a thing on Twitter today saying, dude, I know you. I'm not looking for any publicity from you. I don't really care. If you reach out and say hi, amazing. I just let him know, like, just want you to know, like, I was with you. And it's amazing that I did my thing and you did your thing and we're both successful, and how cool that is. And so who knows, maybe, right, exactly, Jay Sharp, small world. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought that it was really important, because those little things in life will come back to you full circle if you stay motivated, stay positive, and chase your dreams, guys. And so anyways, I have to work right now. So I'm going to share this video with you, and I'll butt in every couple of minutes. And I appreciate the 77 people that are in here, because I think we all know that this is not a cop watch video night. This is not my normal kind of video night, but I was so excited. I wanted to share it with my friends because you guys are my buddies. My 99 people or whatever that are in here, like Jody Shiloh, Life Under the Microscope, Lynn, and let me see here, James Forbes, Jay Sharp, Chili, if he's still here, Delete Laws, my homeboy Chili. And by the way, that's what led me to becoming friends with Chili, because I was beat up by a cop, right? And so I identify with Chili. And that's why I made sure to visit him when he was in jail, because I knew that most people would be like, oh, he's in jail, he's guilty, whatever. And I never thought that. I always supported him. And so it just, right, I just want you guys to see how that works, like how our life can lead us on these journeys that you would never expect, the unexpected, exceptional journey of life. And so let me see who else is here. I want to thank everyone for showing up. Jay Sharp, Ghost Man, Cops are 5150, got my mic squared away. I owe you, brother. Let me see here. He knew right away of my overhead. Steve Conkler, and Steve Conkler is one of my big supporters. He's always making sure to give me super chats and buy memberships for other people. All these selfless people that I have, the reason why they're my friends is because they know that I'm a selfless guy too. Like, for example, all the money that I made on YouTube this month, I donated to Reluctant Prophet and other people out there because I'm trying to support their cause and make sure that they're successful. And so you guys literally, like, when you help my channel, I'm helping other people. I'm getting a lot of blowback from my old lady, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. But anyways, I want to share this video with you. I'm going to work, but I want you to understand Robert Kiyosaki was a Marine. And this dude, he is so much like me, the way he thinks. And as far as like his understanding of fiat currency, gold, silver, value, Marxism, communism, his rich dad was the guy like my dad. I found that out today in this video. His rich dad was like my dad, the poor guy who dug ditches and was motivated and became wealthy, right? And then the poor dad was the typical like a lawyer dog personality type, right? Like a guy who wastes their time at a school, right? So because they think that the government run schools are going to make them successful, and it's just going to blow your mind. The poor dad is the Marxist and the rich dad is the ditch digger. And that's totally my philosophy. And so when you guys see this video, hopefully it'll all make sense and you're going to get it. And that's what I'm hoping. Cause I honestly, guys, we've got a short life and I really, really want you guys to see something that's going to blow your mind. And by the way, I'm already trying to find a silver and a gold dealer that I trust to help you guys be able to find affordable gold and silver. And also, I do recommend that you invest in silver and gold, and to a lesser degree, the Bitcoin. And by the way, everything that I share with you is not legal advice or financial advice. I do personal injury law. So if you get in a car accident or a truck accident, I can make you millions because that's what I'm good at. But all this other stuff, I'm just telling you my own personal experiences and my experience based upon being a American common law traditional guy, where I believe that our currency should be backed by something of intrinsic value, right? So let's get into it and have some fun and watch the video with me, and you'll understand everything that I'm saying. This dude right here, I actually worked with this guy at Bally's Total Fitness, and I never could quite place it. But then today, when he said it, guys, I'm still like, I feel like all of my electrical energy is still surging from my body because it all makes sense. The reason why this guy is so successful, number one, is because he's military, but number two, because of his background in sales and marketing. And so, guys, when you watch this, it's going to blow your freaking mind. It's going to blow you away. Oh, Lynn, I didn't know you were a dude. Power Inherent says, "What are you doing, bro?" So, Lynn, I thought you were a chick. So I apologize for saying you're a lady, but but I've got some hugs here for you, Lynn. Power Inherent and the people is always nice to have you here. Let's get into the video. I'm going to work, but I'll do my best to pop in every couple of minutes to try to explain to you things as I see fit. So here we go.
I lived in Iran for 10 years, 2 years in Germany at a refugee camp, and I haven't been in America, served the military, gone from being poor to middle income to low income to upper class to, now worth a few hundred, whatever where I'm at this phase of my life at 43. I said, I'm here to tell you America is the greatest country in the world.
Hello, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and welcome to another edition of Rich Dad's World. It's the real world of money, investing, and freedom. I think that's the most important word today. Is freedom.
Sorry, Lynn.
So,
sorry, homeboy.
Anyways, I have a hard time with people trying to take my freedom away. And our guest today is he's really an old friend. I've known him for years. Patrick David, and years ago, he drove up in this bus in front of the Rich Dad's office in Scottsdale. I said, who is this wild man? And it's been a love affair ever since because, the definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And today we're going to be talking about how you prepare because I suspect they're going to do their best to take more of our freedoms away.
Absolutely.
And the question is how do you not allow them to steal your freedoms? I don't care if you're a liberal or conservative. Just don't mess with my freedom.
Amen.
That's all I ask. So Patrick, I was at Patrick's birthday party and it blew me away. I mean, his organization is a lot bigger than his bus. he showed up in Scottsdale. And the thing I was most impressed with are the people around him. And the people around him are definitely proactive. They're going for it. I would say their financial future is very secure because of what, not so much about what they're selling, but what they're learning. And when it comes to how your future will do is what skill sets do you have? And that's probably the most important thing. And that was a story of my rich dad and my poor dad. My poor dad always said, go back to school, get your PhD. The trouble was he was broke. And I said, if I get my PhD, I'll just wind up like you. And my rich dad said, when I came back from the
Don't be like Lawyer Dog. Don't waste your time in a school. Go out and make it happen. You can get a degree later. You can become a lawyer right now and make it happen. You can go out and dig ditches and become successful. Listen to what this guy's having to say, guys.
Vietnam in 1974. He says the number one skill of an entrepreneur is ability to sell. And what I was most impressed with Patrick Bet-David's organization is his guys were confident, men and women, positive, going forward. Their future is very, very bright because they have a great teacher in Patrick Bet-David. So Patrick, welcome to the Rich Dad World program.
It's great to be on with you.
Yeah. So what would you say about a person's skill sets? I mean, you think what carries you into the future? It's not your college degree. Well, what skills do you have, right?
Yeah, it's
right.
funny you talk about sales, and I'm thinking about this whole thing with sales. When I got out of the military, I knew how to work hard. I didn't have a problem working hard. That was not tough for me. I learned that from the military, just like yourself, having served in the Marines. And my dad was a worker. He ran a 99-cent store in Inglewood, and he's always been a worker. So I got the work part, but the sales side I didn't have. I started working at Bally Total Fitness, and I learned how to sell. I was coached by a guy named Cisco. He was my manager at Bally's. He sent me to Fox Hills Mall because I couldn't sell memberships at the gym. And he says, before you give up sales, I want you to go try to sell memberships at the mall. I said, Cisco, I can't sell memberships at the gym. You want me to sell it at the mall? He said, yes. I went to Fox Hills Mall. First day, I was standing behind the booth. I was so afraid to talk to anybody and engage. And the next thing you know, I came to the...
And Fox Hills was my territory. I was the corporate wellness director for Bally's Total Fitness. I remember this guy, but he was wearing a Bally's polo shirt. And that's why I didn't remember him for all these years that I've been watching him on TV. He looks pretty squared away, doesn't he? Check, this guy's awesome, man. I can't even believe that. Just keep watching.
Side of the booth, because it was these two other guys, and I came in front of the booth, and one girl came in, bought the first membership from me, $75 down, $32. I remember till today, this was a $99. And I called Cisco. I said, Cisco, somebody bought a contract from me. He says, you got to be kidding. I said, no. So then I sold second, third, fourth, and I became rookie of the month. I became rookie of the quarter, then I became rookie of the year. And then I saw the world from a completely different perspective once you learn how to sell, because it's almost a skill set of freedom. Whether if you ever see the girl, the hot girl in town who dates a guy that's maybe a 5 or a 6 and she's an 8 or a 9, and you're wondering, how the hell did she end up with them? There's a very high likelihood the guy's a great salesperson. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you ever get passed up by somebody on a promotion and that person's not as qualified as you to get the promotion, but they get it, they probably sold them.
By the way, I'm not the tallest guy, although I am a handsome guy, according to most of the women I've dated. The reason why I've gotten so many women in my life is because they love my confidence and my personality. So for you guys out there who think that you have to look a certain way or be, 10 feet tall, listen to what this guy's saying. This is real shit.
Themselves better for that position than you did. If you ever notice in a family setting where, the time comes where somebody has to make a decision for the family's future and your idea is better than another person's idea, the other person was better at selling their idea than you. This whole sales thing goes in many different ways. And today, I wrote a list of things while you were talking here about skill set. My kids, when they come up to me, they want to ask me for something. I said, Dad, I want to go to movies. I want to go to a restaurant. I said, sell me why. Not tell me why. Sell me why. And they'll say, well, I think we got to go there because, I said, tell me why. And then, well, because of this, because of that. And Many times they'll come and they'll say, Dad, we want to go to, in the ocean this week with the boat. I'm like, let's negotiate a deal. Tell me why you deserve to go there. Well, do you remember last week when you asked to do this? We did this. Do you remember last week? And what if we do this? And what if we do this? So I think the skill set of selling, negotiation, reading people, intuition is probably some of the most important skill sets, because you are right. I think they are going to try to impose their power and force to take away more freedom if you allow it to. But if the right people stay a little paranoid and they read them a little bit better, and you have some intuition to know that nothing's more important than your freedom, if we fight back, I don't think they'll be successful.
That's correct. And then the saying we have at Rich Dad, it's sales equals income. And so I meet so many people who say, well, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. I can't afford to buy real estate. I can't afford to buy Bitcoin. I can't afford to buy. Well, the reason you can't afford to buy something is because you can't sell. And sales equals income.
Amen.
So back in 1974, my dad wanted me to go to the University of Hawaii and get my PhD. And I said, no, he wanted to fly for the airlines because he was a pilot. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to learn how to sell. And he was upset. He said, salesmen are crooks, they're con artists. It's not a very honorable profession.
Bullshit.
But that's why he was poor. So many PhD types, academic types, they
listen to him. Doesn't he sound like me, but he's more smooth about it? Academic types, Marxist communists have been brainwashed that you need some kind of college degree or have to go to a public school. Wait until you hear what he says about public school teachers, guys. This dude is so right on the money. By the way, make sure to homeschool your kids if you want them to be successful. And you want to make sure that your girl remains a girl and your boy remains a boy. You send them around 8 hours a day with these freaks that are teaching the public school system, and watch what happens to your kids.
They think they're above the capitalist process. They think their PhD entitles them to the better life. But if you go for your PhD, you really don't have the skill sets to be in the capitalist world. Like when my father, bless his heart, he ran for lieutenant governor against his boss, the governor, as a Republican in the People's Republic of Hawaii. Hawaii's 100% communist.
Yes.
And so he ran as a Republican.
Right on, Robert.
And he lost. And the governor said to him, "You'll never work in this state again." So the power the governor had over my dad was his job. And the hardest thing for a school teacher, Patrick, is as a capitalist, you really don't need a school teacher. You need a salesman.
That's right.
And my father just couldn't sell. He wouldn't, he just kept holding up his PhD. I have a PhD, but he couldn't sell.
Wow.
And you know what I mean? And I saw that. And that's when my rich dad, who had no education at all, said, you better learn how to sell pretty quickly.
That'd be my
so
dad.
I was at your birthday party, and I saw your team, both men and women, what they have is confidence. And that confidence, ability to sell, to communicate and all that, that'll carry them into the future. And what's going to happen is as the economy worsens and these cuts keep stealing our freedoms, they're going to have the income via which to take advantage of real estate, of whatever Bitcoin, whatever they want to invest in. But if you can't sell, remember, sales equals income.
That's right.
And if you can't sell, you don't have income. I mean, is that direct a process? But when I sat down with my poor dad, he just couldn't hear it. He said, salesmen are crooks. They deceive people, they cheat people and all this. But that's what prevented him from getting ahead. Have you seen people like that?
Oh, tremendous. I mean, my dad, I mean, he was a worker, but, he was always stuck with where he was at. My family with where they were at. But, the biggest thing listening to the story of your father is your dad wasn't afraid to go up. So maybe he wasn't a good salesman. Maybe he wasn't a entrepreneur, but the guy definitely had courage to go up against his former boss as a governor. And that courage was definitely passed down to his son with the courage you got to do what you do in the books you write and the buttons you push and the predictions you make and the controversy. the opposition you face, you piss a lot of people off with some of the things that you talk about, but you're comfortable doing that because you got the right genes there. No, I will say a couple things to you. I think the one word I think about is, how can a person be irreplaceable, right? That's how you increase your market value, if you are irreplaceable. So how do we become irreplaceable? To me, if a person's a W-2 person, let's pick a engineer, a coder, okay? And a person produces the software for you. They're so good of a coder that they've had so many years of building that code for you, the software for you. They are somewhat irreplaceable, where you kind of need them. Like, listen, here's what I've done for you. I've developed software for you that's made you 15 million.
And that's why I learned how to write JavaScript and HTML5, because most of these coders are egomaniac a-holes. So that's why you need to learn how to do it yourself. Like anything you do in the military, before you can lead, you have to learn how to follow. So you need to learn what the guys underneath you are doing in order to be able to lead them properly. I can write JavaScript. I can write Python. And that's because of the fact that as a lawyer, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars paying coders who screwed me. Keep listening to this guy. He's going to blow your mind.
$1 billion. I think I deserve a raise. I think I need to be at 285. I think I need to be at 140, 120, whatever the position of this person is. You're irreplaceable, right? So somebody may be watching the same path. I'm not somebody that went to school to be an engineer. I can't be a coder. That's not me. Great. You may be watching this and saying, well, what other way can I be irreplaceable? Well, if you learn how to make your own money without somebody paying you that money like a job, if you learn how to make your own money independently, if you don't rely on the government to support you, if you don't rely on your parents to support you or anybody to support you, independently make your own money, you're essentially irreplaceable. So the more irreplaceable people that we have that are not leaning and relying on an organization, institution, or the government to take care of them, taxes goes lower. There's a lot of things going on today, but my biggest thing would be whoever I am that's listening to this, whatever country you're living in, we're seeing a lot of this stuff taking place all over the world. Number one thing you got to do to be irreplaceable and have a lot of backing when you speak and have a lot of weight is, one, go make your millions, okay? Two, make the investments to be protected financially yourself, your family. You don't have to worry about what somebody else is going to do to you. If you accept a job or career or whatever you're doing it because you're choosing to do it, not because you're forced to do it. You choose to put yourself in that kind of a situation. And if you do that, a government and an institution fears somebody like you because you don't need them. There's always this notion about when moms and sons or father and sons, kids, sometimes they go through this challenge because the kid's growing up always needing mommy and daddy for money, always needing mommy and daddy for money, mommy and daddy for money, mommy and daddy for money. Then there's this awkward transition where mommy and daddy can threaten to take stuff away from the kid by saying, if you don't do this, I'm not going to give you an allowance. And eventually the kid says, listen, I make my own money now, $20,000. That threat doesn't work anymore. And parents sometimes is uncomfortable to give up that control. They lose it, right? So the government doesn't like it when you no longer need them. The government doesn't like it when you no longer need their wealth.
That's why they want you brainwashed by the university college system in public schools. They want you to be dependent on the teat of government. Look, Rockefeller, when he brought our public education, hold on a minute. When the Rockefellers brought the public education system from Prussia over to the United States, what did he say? He said, I want a nation of workers, not of thinkers, because he was a billionaire and he was a monopolist. So he wanted to make sure that he had a nation of people that wouldn't compete with him. That's why we have this public education travesty. And that's why we have people running around. What college did you go to? Where did you get your degree? I see these guys and it makes me want to throw up because they're all broke dicks or they're making like 500 grand raping the taxpayers, right? These guys are a joke. Keep listening to this guy because this is the way you should all think if you're real men and you're women who want to get ahead. Listen to what this guy's got to say. It'll blow your mind.
Welfare state or their support or any of that because you independently make money. If you don't position yourself in a way to make your own money and be free, you are going to be living a life of conformity and being a hostage. That is not a situation. We were not created to be held hostage by another organization because we desperately need them. We are created. We were created to be creative and solve many different problems.
That's right.
Unfortunately, you cannot do that when you're relying on the government. How do you solve that? By exactly what Robert's talking about, which is sales.
And so when I was a kid, I couldn't listen to my poor dad anymore because I was really horrible in school anyway. And they kept saying, well, if you don't get good grades, you won't get a good job. I said, good, I'm on the right track. And then, so I would play Monopoly with my rich dad, but I had to work for him for free. That was the deal. And he says, if I pay you money, you think like an employee. So I would work for him for free, and then he'd play Monopoly and teach me. So as I got older, when I was about 12 years old, he says, okay, your graduate course is this. I had to go to he had a lot of rental units. He called them rental units. My poor dad, the school teacher, called them slums, And I think the formula, Patrick, is the real estate buys the land. So rich dad was putting up these military Quonset huts on this really great land, but the Quonset huts, the military were buying the land. So he put these little cheap ass Quonset huts up there. And my poor dad went nuts. He went, oh, how dare you do that? He's taking advantage of all these people. He's a complete Marxist socialist. So when I was about 12, Rich Dad says, okay, we played enough Monopoly. You're going to graduate. So the next graduation course was I had to go knock on doors and collect rent. I tell you, Patrick, I learned more about life knocking on doors, collecting rent, because everybody who was late in their payments had an excuse. They all had a TV set. I could hear it going in the background. They weren't working, and they didn't pay their rent. It was one of the best educations I ever had.
I can only imagine.
Oh my God, at 12 years old.
Wow.
And so that kind of, that also twisted my path because my poor dad had excuses too, if you know what I mean. I heard similar excuses collecting rent from these very, very poor people. And I heard the same excuses at home. And so that's why when Rich Dad said to me, when I came back from the Marine Corps, he said, you better learn how to sell.
Marine Corps.
I didn't want to do it because nobody likes rejection. Everybody hates rejection. I'll tell you two stories. Was that when I was in Sunday school, I was about 7. And my Sunday school teacher asked me, she says, why were the 3 wise men wise? And I said, well, because they were rich. And she goes, no. Why were the 3 wise men wise? I said, because they were rich. And she kept saying, well, why do you say they were rich? I said, well, they had frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And they came to give it to them. I'm not pushing religion here, but I went to a Christian school, Sunday school.
Me too.
So they had frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And she said, they were rich. She says, no, that's not the answer I'm looking for.
Are you worried about your financial security in these unprecedented?
I'm going to push this because I don't want to get
how a single event can crash the market. Treated as part of your
school teacher says,
hold on. Sorry, guys. I just don't want to get in trouble because YouTube will penalize me for trying to sponsor people.
Or 3, Robert.
Here's this young Sunday school teacher. She says, the reason they were rich is they always sought the best teachers. And I went, holy mackerel.
That's right.
So Patrick, about 2 years later, when I realized I'm not learning jack from my school teachers, and I go to a really rich kid's school, and I go, how come they're rich and I'm poor? My old man's the head of education, PhD, and I'm still poor. And I realized I had bad teachers. So what happened then is that my poor dad was a pretty good guy. He says, you should listen to your best friend's father, who was Rich Dad. I said, why listen to him? I said, because he's an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, My dad says, poor dad says, I'm an employee. And I go, what's the difference? He says, it's a big difference. He says, entrepreneurs must know about money. Employees don't. There was like a big, big lesson. So the next lesson was this. So I got this job at Xerox. The same story you have is I get my little handy dandy sales planner out. I'm dying. Let's say there's 20 sales guys at the Xerox branch in Honolulu. I'm dying. I'm like, and this guy Sanchez flies in from Western Region, Santa Ana. He looks at my sales thing, and I got all these appointments, but no sales. And I'm going to get fired. So I said, I can't. I'm working hard, but I'm going to get fired. Because I had no sales. So I go. My rich dad's office was at Waikiki, so I go to rich dad's office and I show him my planner. He looks at it. He goes, "Okay." He says, "Let me ask you this: how many?" And you have to knock on doors. I had no established accounts. The FNGs and the FNU guy has to always cold call. That's as brutal as it comes. So I'm cold calling in Honolulu. I'm getting nowhere, but I'm making a lot of cold calls. So I show my rich dad my sales planner, just like you do with your guys. And I said, my rich dad says, well, it's obviously why you're failing. I said, why is that? He says, you're not failing enough.
Yep.
He says, if you want to become successful, you have to step up your failure rate. I went, what? Because in my poor dad's family, the academics family, PhDs and all this, failure means you're not successful. And to my rich dad, failure meant you were getting successful. So his advice to me, and I'm working for Xerox, I'm probably 28 years old. He goes, you got to step up your failure rate. Find a way to fail faster. So that's when you get creative. I can only make so many sales calls a day. So what I would do at night, let's say I left downtown Honolulu at 5, I would go to this nonprofit organization up the street and I would dial for dollars. So I could make 30 sales calls in a night. And I didn't care if I failed or, I was just dialing to get people to donate money to this charity. And I failed 30 times a night. And I kept failing 30 times. That was my goal. Fail 30 times a night. But you know what happened, Patrick? My sales at Xerox went up. It was the most amazing thing, because after a while, look at what I saw at your birthday party in Miami. Your people, men and women, have tremendous confidence. And when I meet somebody who's poor and struggling and all this, they lack that confidence.
That's right.
They're more afraid of what somebody thinks of them than they think of themselves. So that was the first thing I noticed. So, congratulations on being a great sales trainer, developing sales leaders. But for me to become successful, I had to step up my failure rate, which goes against everything school teachers teach you. So today, the reason I have so much money is because, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is now 25 years old, is still number 20 in the world.
It's amazing.
And the academics still say, you still can't write. And I go, yeah, but I can sell.
Yes, that's right.
It's a bestseller. But these
So that's okay. So guys, that's what blows me away. Like these guys are like, where did you get your degree? Like, where did you get your $100,000 or $300,000 in student debt from? Right. And then these guys end up getting a government job. They become Marxists and they hate America. And they want to tell you that it's okay to flood the country with illegal aliens who will live off of your paycheck in exchange for changing the census data to make America into a Marxist country. And it just blows my mind because they're brainwashed on these Marxist educational campuses to think that. But guys like Robert and guys like me, we're out there hustling. And when we see our paycheck being given over to someone, by the government, so the government can get votes from people who have the intelligence level of an ant, we're not happy about it. So keep on watching, guys. Watch and learn. Watch and learn. Watch what's going on. This is what really makes it happen.
Academic types that say, but you can't sell. I said, I know, but I can sell. Yeah. It's a whole different value system. And it was turned down by everybody. But you know what the biggest advantages I had is that when I wrote the book, I endorsed network marketing. Because in network marketing, if you have a good sales later, you will learn the number one skill of an entrepreneur's ability to sell. So, I mean, you and I have very similar mindsets, different experience, same experiences. But if I could leave a message to the reason I can buy so much real estate is because I make so much money. And if I don't invest in the real estate, I pay taxes. But most people can't invest in real estate because they don't have any money. Do you know what I mean? They can buy a duplex or something like this. But I'm $1 billion in debt. I borrowed $1 billion to buy all this real estate. And the only reason I can do that is because I know how to sell. And it's a completely opposite world of the average person out there. And by the way, Patrick Bet-David this is the book you're part of here, Patrick. This is called The Capitalist Manifesto. You're a part of it.
I love it.
Because you ran away from charity, didn't you?
10 years.
Talking about that.
Absolutely. 10 years in Iran. I lived there when the whole war happened between Iran and Iraq. And I was born to a communist mother and a capitalist, imperialist father.
Wow.
One side of my family would always talk about the fact that rich people are greedy, and the other side of the family would talk about that poor people are lazy.
Just like me.
And both of them were both right and wrong. You know, there's greedy rich people and there is greedy poor people. And I know a lot of lazy poor people, and I also know hardworking poor people who have the wrong mindset. So anyways, we escaped. I lived in Germany for 2 years at a refugee camp, which I got the first taste of entrepreneurship there. A Super Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers 2 was coming out. And there was a guy in the refugee camp. His name was Jan Staff. He's no longer here with us. He had a sister who was gorgeous, and I was in love with this girl. And I was 11 years old. I'm like, I got to figure out a way to spend more time with this girl. So I talked to the Jan. Jan was 4 years older than me, and I realized Jan liked video games. And so I said, if I buy Super Nintendo, he can play Super Nintendo and I can play with his sister. This is a great deal. I was 11 or 12 at the time. She was 10 or 11. We were both kids, clueless. So I went to the local swimming pool, and Germans like to drink and they like to party. And it was the year when they won the World Cup. So I went to the local swimming pool and I said, look, you got beer bottles and beer, cans everywhere here. What if I bring this up to you and I clean it up? I talked to the owner. He said, I'll give you 5 pfennig per. I cleaned house with his pool every day. Eventually I gathered 250 marks, which is what it cost for me to buy that Super Nintendo. I went to Kaufhof, which Kaufhof is like our Sears. And I went to Kaufhof and I bought the Super Mario Brothers, Super Nintendo. I brought it back to the refugee camp. I was a hero. Everybody was playing with the video games. And I asked Katarina, let's go spend some time together. And we go to the park. That was my first experience about entrepreneurship, that you can make the money out there. Money's out there. There's many ways to make the money. You got to go ask and create some kind of value for you to make it. Then came to the States at 12 years old, Glendale, California, and was there for 6 years, then went to the Army. Then a day before 9/11, I started working at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter as a stockbroker. Got my Series 7, 66, 31, 26 as a 21-year-old. I was the youngest broker they hired. And then I went to Transamerica for 7.5 years, and I started my own insurance company. And the rest is history. But it just validates that, how often, like the other day, we're doing research today on politics, and we were watching a lot of old JFK interviews. And I want to read something to you that JFK said in regards to taxes. So, most people think about taxes and like, well, we got to tax the rich. We got to tax the rich. We got to tax the rich. It's not fair, the fact that they don't pay enough taxes. Here's what Kennedy once said. On September 18th, 1963, Kennedy said, a tax cut means higher family income and higher business profits and a balanced federal budget. A tax cut means a balanced federal budget, said by a Democratic president. Every taxpayer and his family will have more money left over after taxes for a new car, a new home, new conveniences, education, investment. Every businessman can keep a higher percentage of his profits in his cash register or put it to work expanding or improving his business. And as the national income grows, the federal government will ultimately end up with more revenues, said JFK. how weird is that a JFK would today potentially be considered a Republican or a libertarian, but he understood business, because when it comes out to business, I was a kid. Robert, my mom, I was 13 years old, 14 years old, going to Glendale High School. My economics teacher, my history teacher starts talking about Democrats, Republicans, independents. I don't know anything about politics. I come home and I ask my mom, I said, Mom, are we Republicans or are we Democrats? And my mom says, we're Democrats. I said, okay, cool. I said, can you tell me why we're Democrats? She says, because the Democrats are for the poor and Republicans are for the rich. I said, huh. I said, you know what, Mom? She says, what? I said, when I grow up, I want to be a Republican. She said, what do you mean? I said, I hate being rich. I hate being poor. It sucks being poor. I don't know what Republican meant. What I try to say is, I don't want lunch ticket. I hate welfare checks. I don't want to feel like I'm weak. And, I'm holding a conference call yesterday. One of my guys started talking about the fact that my sales guys don't listen to me. They're not working that hard. What do I do about this? And he's got this voice about himself. I said, stop sounding helpless. You are not helpless. Why do you sound helpless? If you're helpless, the world identifies you as being helpless. I said, can you talk? Yes. Do you speak more than one language? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Can you see me? Yes. If you touch me, will you feel me? Yes. Can you taste food? Yes. Can you hear music? Yes. You're so gifted. You don't need to feel helpless. This helpless mentality is so unattractive. Nobody likes a helpless mentality. So half the battle is, for folks that sometimes are coming from other countries and we're immigrants, your family, my family, when you come to a country like this, I was speaking at a school last week, and one of the guys got up on stage and he felt like guilty talking about America's the greatest country in the world. He says, look, we're not perfect, but we are one of the best countries in the world. And I'm like, how do I say something without stepping on this guy, because he's the headmaster? So I get up on stage. I say, well, first of all, let me applaud the headmaster. Fantastic message. Thank you for your service. But, from a guy that lived in Iran for 10 years, 2 years in Germany at a refugee camp, and I haven't been in America, served the military, gone from being poor to middle income to low income to upper class to, now worth a few hundred, whatever where I'm at this phase of my life at 43. I said, I'm here to tell you America is the greatest country in the world. Not one of the greatest, not a top 10 greatest, not top 5. It is the greatest country in the world. And one guy says, how do you measure the greatest country in the world? I said, it's very simple for me. He said, well, how do you do it? I said, well, here's a question for you. He says, what's that? I said, before I give you my measurement, you tell me how you measure. Well, I think it's based on happiness. How do you measure happiness? You want to be happy? Go on an island, go to Belize. You'll be happy. Does that mean Belize is the best country in the world? Well, no. I guess the best country in the world is the fact that the country is very transparent. Okay, let's just say you're my country. We're broke. We have nothing. We have a weak military. And I transparently tell you we're broke. We have no military, no business. Everyone's dying. But I'm transparent. Does that mean it's the greatest country in the world? Well, I guess it's not. So how do you judge a great country? So we're going back and forth, back and forth. Finally, I said, let me change it for you and ask you a question. They said, what's that? I said, how do you judge a great restaurant? She says, reviews? I said, okay, that's one way. I said, but let me ask you this. It's 12 o'clock lunchtime, weekday. You go to a restaurant, okay? Say 4 of us go to a restaurant, and at 12:15, you're sitting there for 15 minutes. The place has got 40 tables. You're the only table there, lunchtime, busy. All the other restaurants around you are busy, but this one's not. What do you do 15 minutes into? You're like, guys, we're probably at a bad restaurant. Let's get up and walk out. You leave, right? He says, yes. I said, now, what do you do when you go to a restaurant and you walk in, there's a 20-minute wait, there's 200 people inside, and any day you go during lunchtime is packed. What do you say about that restaurant? That's a great restaurant. I said, that great restaurant is America, because America leads the world in immigration, and it's not even close. We have 48 million, and the number 2 country only has 10 million. If that was a football score, it'd be 48-10. That's a shellacking is what it is, what America is doing, because the list of people, the line is so long. Millions on top of millions want to come to America. So, and I know this is an international thing. There's people from all around the world. By the way, I will tell you a couple different things. One, you got to have pride in the country you represent. You got to have pride in the religion you represent. You got to have pride in the heritage that you represent. But you also have to understand that the basic fundamentals of freedom apply everywhere. This is why Gorbachev finally brought the wall down. This is why China finally realized they need capitalism. So capitalism works no matter where you are, as long as you leave the freedom upon the people to make a decision for themselves on what kind of a life they want to live. So I don't know if that's what you were looking at, but that's briefly my story.
And that's exactly the story. I mean, you and I are like I said, the definition of intelligence is, if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so I want to thank you, because when I met Kim, she turned me down for 6 months. And if not for sales training, I would never, I just persisted 6 months. And then when I stepped up the interest in her, I found out she had a great job with an advertising agency in Honolulu. And every guy wanted her. So, I played rugby, and my rugby player said, "She'll never go out with you. You're so freaking ugly." And how friends are. And then one day I found out that she would work in Honolulu, and then in the evening she had a network marketing business, and she would go and set up her little thing to learn how to sell. And I went, man, this is a woman after my own heart. She's good looking, she's got beauty, she's got brains, and she likes business. And then, the reason I'm here is because I have a great woman. If you have somebody who doesn't like business because you think it's illegal, immoral, unethical, and all that, you pay the price. That's like the price when I was 12 years old, knocking on doors, collecting rent from poor people. They all had excuses. And you and I know that's the biggest death of all, is when you let your excuses run your life. But I'll show you what capitalism really is. You've seen the financial statement here. You have income, expense, asset, liability, and employee.
Well, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. I thought you would at least appreciate the fact that the connection that I have with these two dudes, and how amazing it is that some of their investment tips have made it possible for me to build up a pretty nice little honeypot for my family. Let me see here. Jay Sharp. So Kathy Marie, you don't really believe that Trump is a felon, right? You know that was just a bunch of leftists that did that, right? You know that's lawfare, don't you? You don't really believe that, do you? Come on. Give me a break. The Marxists are so terrified of this guy that they did everything they could to try to get criminal charges against him. And they brought them in far left districts, and the jury instructions were a joke. It's all going to get reversed anyways. But Dawood Shah, good seeing you, man. That's right. Legal immigration is what it's all about. That's right. That's what it's all about. The only reason why they're bringing illegals up here is because the left knows that their ideas don't sell to Americans. So they want to bring people like peasants and people from sub-Saharan Africa, where they're into interbreeding, where they have inbreeding, where they have like IQs of like 60, and then they can use the census data to redistrict red states blue. So the U.S. Census is being used by the left to create new voting districts. And then with each new voting district, they get a new senator, a congressman, however they do it. But that's the real reason. That's how California went blue. There's no way California could have ever gone blue without illegal aliens. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys are intelligent enough to understand that that's a reality. But Trey Gill, no, we're not brainwashed. We didn't go to public school. We're not from the college system. We don't have far left Karl Marx sucking college professors teaching us. We're intelligent enough to know how to think for ourselves. But thank you anyways for the comment. Let's get back into Mr. Kiyosaki, my Marine Corps aviator from Vietnam. Hurrah!
Employees and self-employed focus here. And then B's and I's, or entrepreneurs like Patrick and myself, focus here. This is called the balance sheet. This is called the income statement. But the big problem here is this word here, tax. And Patrick talked about how taxes wipe you out. So what I had to learn was I had to learn to build a business here by selling, learn how to sell. So what happened is my income goes up here. So as my income goes up here, taxes just take it right away. So I had to find out how I could minimize my taxes legally and increase my income. And the way I do that is as an investor. So what happens for me is, let's say I make $1 million here. Okay, $1 million. If I do nothing, the government takes 60% of that. So I net 400,000 on $1 million. But the reason I had to learn how to invest in real estate was because I come down to the liability column here and I borrow 4 million. So I make $1 million there. And as an investor, which Rich Dad's World recommends, is you learn how to acquire real estate. So if I borrow $4 million here, I step up my asset value to 5 million. And because I've stepped up my basis from 1 million plus debt to 4 million, I have a basis of 5 million. I pay no tax. If you understand that, that's why we teach real estate investing and stock investing and things like that. But of all the asset classes, it's real estate, because real estate runs on tax, on debt, and the more debt you use, the less tax you pay. Because if people like myself and people who borrow money, if we don't borrow money, money doesn't come into existence. The only way money exists is after 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the US dollar became debt. So the only way money could be created was for people like me to borrow money. So Ken McElroy and I borrowed $31 million to buy a piece of property in Austin, Texas. So we stepped it up by $31 million. We stepped it up over here to $50 million. And because we have a $50 million asset, the tax laws allow us to pay no taxes, and this income flows into me tax-free. That's capitalism. But they'll never teach you that. So what schools teach you is to be E's and S's, to be employees or specialists like a doctor or a lawyer or a real estate agent. But this is what my rich dad taught me, and that's what Patrick Bet-David teaches his guys. So this is real capitalism. And the reason we have Rich Dad's World is so you can learn to do this. Before we came on the air, Patrick and I were talking about one of those nefarious people who's on YouTube all the time. And there's a lot of fakes on YouTube, as you guys know. And this guy was saying the way you invest in real estate is you go out and you start with a 200-unit apartment house for $40 million. Are you nuts? You know, you buy a $40 million apartment house and you make a mistake, you bought the Titanic. You're going to go down with it. Without real financial education, without coaching, without really good guides like Patrick and I had, the U.S. is now a nation of renters. And everybody's going to rent because they can't afford a house. So it's good news. So that's why Rich Dad World exists, to assist you in understanding how you take $1 million, you borrow $4 million here, you come across here, make income here, and you wipe out your taxes legally. That's what Capitalist Manifesto is about. That's what Rich Dad's about. But I strongly recommend you choose your teachers wisely. This guy he's very popular real estate guy. I wouldn't trust him. I mean, I do not trust him. He says, yeah, just go out and buy a 200 unit. You start big. You got to be crazy. So for those of you who want to do this here, make $1 million, learn how to sell. $1 million comes down here. I borrow 4, step up my basis to 5, and wipes out my taxes, and I make money tax-free. That's the way it's played. Okay, so thank you for listening to Rich Dad's World, and please invest in your financial education. But as Patrick and I were talking about, you've really got to choose your teachers wisely.
Yeah, he's right, guys. So hopefully you guys had a good time. You got to learn a little bit about making money. I'll try to come back and talk about some other stuff later in the week. But if you guys want to learn a little bit about sales, stick around and I can run some more videos for you, or we could just call it a night. Let me know. Give me a bunch of ones if you want to If you want to listen to some Norman Vincent Peale sales training, this is how I learned how to become number one in sales at all the companies that I ever worked for. And if not, we could just call it a night because I got to keep working, guys. So it's up to you. But hopefully you guys had a good time. Thanks, Jay Sharp. I appreciate it. I know it wasn't like a big show, real super crazy, but for those of you who want to learn how to take care of your families and not get brainwashed by a bunch of commie public school teachers or commie college professors who are trying to get you in debt so you'll vote for the party that forgives your student loans, this is really good educational stuff. All right. Well, okay, Jay, I'll play some more video for you, man. I got to make a head call, but I'll play some Norman Vincent Peale. This is the good stuff. This is how I became number one in sales at every company that I ever worked for. And ultimately, this training is what led me to become a very successful attorney, where I've recovered over $300 million for my clients. And also was able to have a great family with 2 kids. And now I homeschool my kids. And I'm able to do a YouTube show sometimes and have fun with my audience. So let's let it go.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'd like to talk to you this morning about something in which I believe very deeply. As a matter of fact, I think I can say that I never did say anything from
Kyle.
the pulpit that I didn't believe fully. If a preacher doesn't believe what he says, there's a phony element in it. So he can always count on this pulpit saying what it believes. And usually, I hope, with logic. And what I want to talk to you about this morning is something about which I have very deep convictions. And it is this: you can actually believe yourself to achievement. You can actually believe yourself to happiness. You can believe yourself to health and well-being. If, there's a catch to it, if you really believe, not some vague kind of an intellectual assent, but if you with all your heart believe, if you believe with an intensity of belief, then you can believe yourself to every good thing. And unhappily, by the same process, you can believe yourself to sickness, you can believe yourself to failure, you can believe yourself to unhappiness, you can believe yourself to any old bad thing. If your intensity of belief is in that direction. Well, you say, how do you know about all this? Because of the Bible, which I believe completely. I've never, over all the years of my life, known this Bible to tell me anything that wasn't a fact. Never. And in addition to that, I've seen what I've said work out so many times in personal experience that I haven't any doubt about it. Now, the Bible says some very astonishing, seemingly incredible things. Amazing book. It says, It says, if you have faith, even as a little grain of mustard seed, that's not much, but what it is, there is of it is real, intense. If you have faith even as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say to that great, big, looming, overwhelming, forbidding mountain, be ye removed and be ye cast into the sea out of sight. And do not doubt in your heart.
I love this guy.
And nothing shall be impossible unto you. Now, that is really something. Now, that doesn't mean that you say to Mount Everest, get out of my way. That'd be foolish. It wouldn't do it. But you got some big old worry, haven't you? You got some big old discouragement. You got some big old failure out there. And you say to it, away with you in the name of the Lord. I know that sounds pretty comprehensive. But the Bible goes on to say, that
right, guys,
which is impossible with men is...
I just shared the link with you to the Norman Vincent Peale video. Super good video. Good seeing you, sir. By the way, guys, everybody give me a bunch of ones for Kyle, who said, hooah, hoorah. Kyle is one of my buddies. He is a former officer in the U.S. Army, and so that's why I say hooah. But he went to Ranger School because he was a combat arms officer. So give me a bunch of ones for my homie Kyle. Good guy, super legit dude. So the next thing that I can tell you about what I can attribute my success to, besides Norman Vincent Peale videos or cassette tapes when I was growing up, is the Marine Corps. And luckily I had a father who was in the Corps. So we'll play this video about my beloved Corps, so you guys can get an idea about my background. Yeah, I'll brag a little bit. Yeah, Kyle's the legit dude, man. Kyle is great. Trust me, says Kyle. Guys stole our oorah and made it into but it's all right, man. No, Westman, Marine Corps is ira or raw, and then Army is hua, and then SEALs are hooyah. You got to get it down. But the Marine Corps started it all, and the lore is that it's based on the auga horn of the original Marine Raiders when they would do insertions or whatever, or when they would exfil and get under the sub, the horn would be auga, auga, which is the dive horn. And allegedly, those Marine Raiders became Marine Corps drill instructors during the Korean War. And then later, by the time it got through Vietnam and whatnot, by the time when I was in, like in the early 80s and the late 80s, URA was part of the Marine Corps deal. And then later on, the Army picked up the HUA thing. But the Army didn't do the HUA thing until like the late 90s. So, and then of course, you know, the Navy SEALs, who knows where they got it from. I mean, they shouldn't even have Navy SEALs. I mean, they don't even have to go through like Marine Corps boot camp. They just let 20-year-old guys go into like BUDS training. At least the Marine Corps are intelligent enough to not let guys go into a special operations unit until they've at least reached NCO, right? So they've had some training in combat arms, learn how to, you know, be on a mortar team or a machine gun team. But that's another discussion for another day. But let's get into some Marine Corps stuff, because this is stuff that I really like. And then after that, I'm going to make a quick head call. Forgive the freaking doggone artificial intelligence stuff, guys, as far as the images go. But the stuff they're saying, it's pretty good to go.
Have you ever wondered where the roots of the U.S. Marine Corps lie? let's take a voyage back to the year 1775, during the heart of the Revolutionary War. The Marine Corps was conceived on November 10th in a Philadelphia tavern, marking the dawn of their fearless legacy. Their initial role? To serve as sharpshooters on naval vessels, battling British forces with unrivaled courage. Remember the Battle of Nassau? That was their first amphibious operation, seizing cannons and military supplies from the British. Or the Penobscot expedition, their first sea-to-land operation. Though it ended in defeat, it was a stepping stone to the Corps' evolution. The Revolutionary War was the crucible in which the Marine Corps was forged. Through the heat of battle and the harsh lessons of defeat, the Marine Corps began to distinguish itself as a separate and unique branch of the military. And thus, amidst the smoke and chaos of the Revolutionary War, the Marine Corps was born. As America expanded, so too did the role of the Marine Corps. The 19th century was a time of great change and challenge for the Corps. The War of 1812 was a pivotal moment as Marines fought bravely in key battles, including the defense of Washington, D.C., and the attack on Fort McHenry. Their resilience under fire earned them a reputation as a hardy fighting force. Their mettle was further tested during the Mexican-American War. Marines were crucial in securing victories at Veracruz and Chapultepec, successes that led to major changes in the Corps. Training became more rigorous, tactics were refined, and the equipment was modernized. Then came the Civil War, a conflict that saw the Marine Corps divided, like the rest of the nation. Despite the internal strife, both Union and Confederate Marines served with distinction, demonstrating the unyielding spirit that has become synonymous with the Corps. Throughout these trials, figures like Archibald Henderson, aptly named the Grand Old Man of the Marine Corps, played crucial roles. His leadership and vision helped shape the Marines into a cohesive, disciplined unit. In his words, it is the Marine's duty to be ready at all times for any service required of him by the nation. In the crucible of the 19th century, the Marine Corps was forged into a formidable fighting force. The lessons learned and the traditions established during this era continue to guide the Marines of today, as they uphold their commitment to duty, honor, and country. The 20th century brought unprecedented challenges and changes for the Marine Corps. In the crucible of World War I and II, the Marines were tested like never before. They stormed the beaches of places like Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa, etching these names into the annals of Marine Corps history. World War I marked the Corps' expansion from a small, largely naval force into a truly modern, combined arms entity. General John A. Lejeune, the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, said, "The deadliest weapon in the world is a Marine and his rifle." His words echoed the Corps' transformation, emphasizing the individual Marine's skill and valor. Then came World War II, and with it, some of the bloodiest battles in our history. Marines stood tall in the Pacific, from the grinding attrition at Guadalcanal to the hellish volcanic sands of Iwo Jima, and the final desperate battles at Okinawa. Lieutenant General Chesty Puller, the most decorated Marine in history, stated, "All right, they're on our left, they're on our right, they're in front of us, they're behind us. They can't get away this time." His words embodied the indomitable spirit of the Marines, their tenacity in facing adversity. These wars not only modernized the Marine Corps, but also gave birth to new traditions, fostering a culture of adaptability, resilience, and uncompromising courage. Through the trials of the world wars, the Marine Corps emerged stronger and more resilient. From the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of the Middle East, the Marine Corps has continued to adapt and overcome. The post-World War era marked an intense period of transformation, starting with the Vietnam War. This conflict was a test of endurance, as Marines faced grueling conditions and unconventional warfare. Despite the challenges, they held firm to their motto, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Moving into the 90s, the Marine Corps found themselves in the arid landscapes of the Gulf War. Here, they showcased their ability to rapidly respond and adapt, playing a crucial role in liberating Kuwait. This war demonstrated the Marines' versatility and their capacity to execute massive amphibious operations, a testament to their relentless spirit. The dawn of the 21st century brought with it a new kind of conflict, the War on Terror. Marines were once again at the forefront, demonstrating their unwavering courage in the face of uncertainty. Their involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan, marked by intense urban combat and counterinsurgency operations, further honed their tactics and resilience. Throughout these conflicts, the Marine Corps' culture and tactics have evolved, but their core values of honor, courage, and commitment have remained constant. Notable figures have played a role in this evolution. General James Mattis, a revered figure in the Corps, once said, "The most important 6 inches on the battlefield is between your ears." A reminder that mental fortitude is just as crucial as physical strength. These words echo throughout the Corps today as Marines continue to face and overcome challenges with tenacity and a steadfast commitment to their values. Their resilience in adapting to new forms of warfare, their unwavering spirit in the face of adversity, and their dedication to protecting our nation are testament to the enduring strength of the Marine Corps. In the face of ever-changing challenges, the Marine Corps remains steadfast and true to its values. The Marine Corps, with its rich history and tradition, continues to stand as a symbol of America's commitment to freedom and justice. From the Revolutionary War to the conflicts of the 21st century, the Marines have held the line, facing adversity with courage and determination. We salute those brave men and women who have donned the uniform, embracing the Corps' enduring values, honor, courage, and commitment. These values not only shape the Marines, but they also shape our nation. Their discipline, resilience, and relentless pursuit of excellence echo throughout America, inspiring us all. Their stories are woven into the fabric of our history, a testament to their indomitable spirit. So let's take a moment to appreciate the Marines, those guardians of our liberty. To all Marines past and present, thank you for your service. If you've enjoyed this walk through history, please like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Yeah, it was kind of crummy. I'm not really into the whole AI messed up uniform thing. What's going on? What's the matter, you? Hey, it's Gunny Highway, not Hightower. Kyle, Gunny Hightower. Jeez, Jiminy Christmas, dude. Can tell you were in the Army. Marines adapt, they overcome, and they smoke cigars when they say it. For crying out loud, Recon wins. No way, dude. That's so cool, bro. Your daughter just signed up for the Corps, man. Well, she definitely picked the hardest branch physically to be in, and the most pride too. Marine Corps have a lot of pride. We're very disciplined, highly disciplined group of very motivated individuals. The president's own. Anyways, guys, look, I'm kind of burned out. I'm gonna call it a night, I think. It wasn't a big night tonight, but at least you guys got to learn a little bit about Robert Kiyosaki and a little bit about the history of what makes me tick. And hopefully we can find ways to make money together and form parallel systems. So one of the things I recommend you guys do is buy silver and gold and get your hands on as much of it as you can. I'm not a big believer in the, Bitcoin, but, physical silver and gold's the way to go as far as I'm concerned. And you can buy, we'll talk about it some other time, guys. But listen, if you guys need a personal injury attorney, that's what I do for a living. So if you were in a car accident or a truck accident, a motorcycle accident in California or Texas, that's what I'm good at. I've recovered well over $500,000 for my, well over $250 million for my clients in the last 20 years. And I'm really good at it. But my love is constitutional law and the Bill of Rights and natural law. So I'm really grateful that you guys joined me tonight. And I hope that I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully I can. That's right, Jay Sharp. The rest of them are wimps. Well, Army has some pretty good combat arms units. And they definitely have, the Green Berets and the Rangers are no joke, man. I had some buddies in MARSOC and also in Force Reconnaissance, as well as Anglico, and they all have nothing but good things to say about Army Rangers. But as a whole, yeah, the Army's just too big. They're not elite, but they do have elite units. But as a whole, the Marine Corps is elite and it's self-contained. And we're really big on our unit history, and our discipline is unrivaled by any of the branches. And I'm sure that Kyle will admit that, I mean, Marines, we pride ourselves in being the best at drill and being the most disciplined. And we get the chicks, man, because chicks love a disciplined man. That's just the way it goes, man. But anyways, I'm super happy to see you guys. So Kyle, well, dude, Delta's badass, but dude, those are old dudes. And a lot of them come from force reconnaissance as well as SEAL units. They're not all Army, you know. So, you know, don't give yourself all the credit, homeboy. They recruit from the best. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate that. But you know, we've got inter-service rivalry, but I think that I don't know, is it Captain? I think Captain Kyle knows that you know, if he was ever going to have to select someone to go into combat, he could choose a Marine admin unit and they'd be able to put rounds down range and support him because we're all infantry first in the Marine Corps. But I watched drill sucks. Yeah, well. Anyways, man, I appreciate all you guys joining me. I had a great time. Kevin Biernarski, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I've been up since like 04. I have a really bad sciatic nerve issue where I can barely get out of my chair. So it's been really hard for me, guys. Like every time I stand up, my eyes start watering. I'm in so much pain. So, and you can thank the Marine Corps for that as well. But I still would never go back. Gunny Hightower. Westman, good seeing you, man. Life Under the Microscope. If you're still here, thanks for joining me tonight, brother. Ein Era heißt Troja. Kevin Biernarski, Nunya Business, Jay Sharp, all you guys. Thanks for all the super chats, likes, and subscribes. If you want to support my channel, pick up a copy of my ebook for $20. But make sure to always subscribe and save my videos for later. That's the best way to support me. Saving my videos really helps. It really helps with the algorithm. Tell your friends about me. And if you ever need a personal injury attorney, I'm your man. Good seeing you guys. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper Fi, do or die.